want to say today, I thank everyone for taking their hour to spend with us. We at the SBA, we've been on the front line since the end of March. I know we've had some programs, we've had some good, some bads, the uglies. But what I want to do today, I'm excited about the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. And as Dwayne said, we're going to share you a little bit about what it is, how to qualify, the eligibility, the award. So the portal is not yet open. So hopefully today you will be able to gather the information, first of all, that you're ready. Secondly, the documentation that you need. And thirdly, ready for when the portal does open. So let's start the show. So as I said, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, or as we at the SBA, we're acronym crazy, is RRF. So this actually came out of the American Rescue Plan Act of March 11th. The thing about the RRF is that it's $28.6 billion. We've been told that as much as 20 billion had been asked for at the beginning. They settled on the 28.6 billion. So that's why I believe this webinar is so important today, so that you're ready. And that's the key. And that's my thing throughout the, I want to resonate throughout this webinar is that you are ready and you're ready to go. So as soon as the portal's open, there's no questions. You're not trying to figure stuff out, but that you're ready. And that's why I have our Laura from the Western Women's Business Centers on, and she's going to actually help you as well if you're in need of help. So the funds that you can potentially receive, you have up until March the 11th of 2023 to actually use these funds. And there are some reporting mechanisms that the SBA is working on, but we'll go through this a little later on through the webinar. So you're on here, not really sure who you are, but for the RRF, to be eligible, you have to have a business that primarily is open for the purpose of serving food and drink. Yes, that covers a wide range of a lot of businesses. We've sort of outlined the top ones here, but as I go through the list, there are others. We have, of course, the restaurants which have been hit so hard during this whole pandemic. We've got our food stands, our food trucks, our food carts that haven't been able to get out. We have those caterers, bars, saloons, lounges, and taverns. We have snacks or non-alcoholic beverage bars, as we're titling your coffee shops or your ice cream shops. When we're looking at bakeries, we're looking at on-site sales, especially in Western North Carolina. There are a lot of bakeries that bake things and take them to Ingles or take them to other stores, or they sell to other small businesses for their restaurants. But these, for bakeries, we're looking at 33% of your gross receipts, at least, where you have served one-on-one to the customer. Then we have our brew pubs, our tasting rooms, our tap rooms. Once again, this is sort of like the bakeries. It must be comprised of at least 33% of your gross receipts has to be one-on-one where you're serving the public. We've got our wineries and distilleries, same thing with the gross receipts. We have our inns, which I'm gonna cover that a little later into the as we go along. And then licensed facilities or premises of a beverage or alcohol producer where the public may taste or sample or purchase. Once again, the big thing is consumer based, one-on-one, that the people are coming to your establishment for the purpose of being served food and drink. And then, as I said, there are some other entities or businesses that may fall under this umbrella. So then of course, the big thing is how much am I eligible for? Well, the minimum award is $1,000. So once the calculations are done and, you may be a food cart and the calculations are done and you're say at $775, you would not be qualified because the minimum award is $1,000. But then with the SBA may provide funding up to $5 million per location. And we're talking about businesses that have, several different restaurants. Once again, we're looking at Western North Carolina. We have a lot of that. You've got the bagel place, you've got the restaurant, you may have the bar, but $5 million per location, not to exceed $10 million for multiple locations. So when we're looking at what do you need, there's some other programs that the SBA is running currently. A lot of you've probably been either waiting on the Shutter Venue Operator Grant or the SBOG, where they might have had to register. I want to reiterate, for this program, for the RRF, you do not have to register in SAM.gov, nor have a DUNS or a CAGE identifying number. So these are programming parameters, but I want to make sure that once again, regardless, there's a lot of things out there on the internet. Just to be clear, in order to apply for RRF, you do not have to register in SAM.gov, nor have a DUNS or a CAGE identifier number. We are accepting expired TIN numbers are going to be acceptable, but if you need to go out and update yours, there is the link that is actually in the slides, or you can go on and register. But if your TIN number is, it's valid if it's unexpired. So then once again, who's eligible? We already talked about the business entities. Now we've got who is not eligible. So when we're looking at some of the businesses, there are a few that are not eligible, and that is any state or local operated business. As of March 13th, 2020, you own or operate an affiliate. If you have more than 20 locations, you're not eligible. You have a pending application to receive a shuttered venue or operator grant. So if you have an application, well, the portal didn't open up again until today at noon for the SBOG. But if you have a pending application, and I'll talk about this a little later, there are going to be some decisions that you're going to have to make as the business owner as to which program you're going to apply for. If you're a publicly traded company, you're not eligible. And if you're permanently closed. So permanently closed is, I've closed my doors, I'm selling my stuff, I'm not opening up the business. Not that we're just going to shut down until the pandemic's over, and then we're going to reopen up. Once again, I'll touch on this briefly again. But if you're permanently closed, you're ineligible, and a non-for-profit. And if you are not eligible for funding of at least, as I said, the $1,000. So the ineligible are the state, anyone's publicly traded, you've permanently closed, or a non-for-profit organization, or during the calculation, you're just not going to get that $1,000. So those are the ineligible entities. So when we're looking again at, once again, with the entities, who's eligible? Basically, almost everyone. We're looking at our C Corps, S Corps, our partnerships, our limited liability companies, sole proprietors, self-employed, those self-employed individuals, independent contractors, tribal businesses, LLCs as S Corps or sole proprietors. And if anyone is filing a B corporation, you'll either just check the C Corp or S Corp box based on the taxes on the application portal. Now, as I mentioned, franchises are eligible, but there is a caveat to that. So any business concern that's operating as a franchise, they have to be listed in the SBA franchise directory. Once you get into the actual application process, there will be a link that will tell you if the SBA has authorized that particular franchise to be one of the SBA brands that they support or that they finance. So for brands that are not listed in the directory, including brands that the SBA has previously denied for affiliation issues, they're not there, but there's other documentation that you can show that's required to show that you are a franchise, and there's other criteria that'll be listed there also in the link. So franchises are eligible, but they have to make sure, we have to make sure that they're actually, the addendums are in the SBA franchise registry directory. Bankruptcy, I know that's been a big one with PPP and some of the other programs that we've had. So any applicant that is operating under an approved plan of reorganization, so that's either if you are organizing under a Chapter 11, 12, or 13 bankruptcy, you are eligible for funding. Now, an applicant that is not eligible for funding under bankruptcy is, as I said, one of those that it's permanently closed. So you've ceased operations and you're done. You filed a Chapter 7 liquidation or bankruptcy, you cannot apply for RRF, or you filed for either a Chapter 7, 11, or 12, and 13, and the bankruptcy is not under an approved reorganization plan. So, anyone that has bankruptcy out there, just, figure out where you are so that we can either help you move forward or declare that you're not eligible for RRF. And then, as I said, permanently closed does not include businesses who have temporarily closed their doors due to the state or local restrictions that the pandemic have caused, and they're just waiting, and they just have not reopened up. So I know there's a lot of definitions that we have in here, but once again, that's why we have our resource partners, to kind of help you figure out some of this lingo or what's going on with where we are in the process of filing for the RRF. Now, as I said, we've been doing this for a year, so we've got a lot of programs that are out there. So I know many of you have received funds from the PPP, or what we call the Paycheck Protection Program. So any funds that have already been received through the Paycheck Protection Program from the first draw will be subtracted from your application. So if you received, a PPP, the first draw, once you're filling out your application, you will need to submit, or you will need to document that you received a PPP loan for X amount of dollars. We're saying that we need you to use the same EIN number. I know that, once again, some of you have multiple businesses, so we're asking for every EIN number that you filed for a PPP application on the first draw, that you need to submit that on the application so that it could be reduced. And then also, for those that have received a second draw, the applicant must provide, once again, all the EINs so that we can make sure that you have that we've captured all of the money that has been dispersed to you under the PPP. So we just need to make sure that we have all of those numbers that we're looking at. And then, as I said before, you cannot submit if you have a shuttered venue grant from the SBA. So, once again, it says it must not have a pending application or received a shuttered venue grant. So for those of you that may be eligible for both programs, I just say that you probably need to look at it for yourself, or talk to your CPA or someone to figure out which one is best suited for you, because you cannot obtain both an RRF and a shuttered venue operator grant. So just for you to keep that in mind. So when we're looking at other things, all applicants must certify that they are in a current economic uncertainty, requesting support for continued operation. So, you need the RRF to help you to continue to operate during what has happened through the pandemic. Now, what are some of the eligible uses of funds? Once again, just like all of our programs, they're all pretty much the same. Business payrolls, including sick leave, your utility payments. So, your electricity bills, your water bills, if you need internet at your business establishment, these are the ones that are under payment. Any business maintenance expenses that are current, not that you've gone out and you've gotten some new contracts, but these are all current expenses that you have. Your business supplies, now that a lot of restaurants, they've had to put up plexiglass, they've, added the cleaning supplies and a lot of things to take care of their customers and their employees. Your business food and beverage expenses, this also includes your raw materials to make the food, covered supplier costs, and then, of course, under our business operating expenses, it's your basic necessities to run your business, your marketing fees, your license, your point of sale equipment, and certain things. Those are all eligible uses of funds. So then when we're talking about what are some of the construction expenses, I want to say, first of all, you received the RF. No, you could not say, wow, we've been waiting to expand our restaurant, or we've been wanting to buy new this. No, that is considered an ineligible expense. When we're saying construction of outdoor, we're looking at like outdoor seating. You can build an area on the side of your building or in the front of your building so that you will be able to seat more people based on the revenue or the pandemic. So that's what we're looking at when we're talking about construction. It's just things that can help you through the pandemic, not so that you can grow, but to take care of those customers that you cannot take care of by them being inside using still the social distance of 6 feet. So those are the things that we're looking at. We're looking at, payments on your mortgage and things like this. So those are the things that are eligible under RRF. Now, when do you have to use the funds? So these funds are to be spent on expenses, once again, that were incurred between February 15th of 2020 through March 11th of 2023. Once again, if the business permanently closes, you get the RRF, your business closes during this time, then you need to either contact the SBA, return the funds. So there's some things that you can't just get the money and say, well, I got the money, now I'm closing. No, that is not protocol. The protocol is if you close prior to March 11, 2023, then we need to receive those funds back. So that's the period of time in which you have to use the funds. And as I said, the SBA is working on some sort of, once you've used the funds or exhausted the funds that you received, how are we going to, check those and say, oh yes, they pay their rent, they pay their utilities, they pay their people, they took care of their PPE needs. So those are some of the things that we're still looking at and devising. But, the first part is, what is the information that I need so that I can submit a good application? So once again, when do you have to use the funds? The use of funds, there's an assessment. So the total award of the funds, once they're exhausted, as I said, there will be some sort of detailed expenditure report that you'll have to send. And then say for instance, you get your award this year in 2021, you exhaust the funds in 2021, that's when you would report. So you wouldn't have to do a report for 2022 or 2023 because you've exhausted the funds in the year in which you got them or the first year that you had it. So once again, we're still working on those requirements or in the procedure. So just so that you know that you will have to report what the funds were used on. There's 4 different calculations depending on what type of business you have and what type of serving that you're doing. So any applicants that are in operation prior to January of 15 of 19, they're just going to use a basic 2019 gross receipts minus the 2020 gross receipts minus your PPP to come up with your amount. So that's the first, and that's the easiest calculation. So then when we're looking at our second calculation, is that the applicants that began operations partly through 2019, we're going to look at that average. You're looking at your monthly gross receipts at 12 times minus your 2020 gross receipts minus your, any of your PPP. And then we go into some other the applicants that began operations partially in 2019. So this is a little different calculation that we're looking at, which is our calculation 2, which once again, our resource partners are here to help you. We're here to help you through the North Carolina District Office to help you to make sure that you're looking at the right calculations. Then we have our third calculation. And then once again, it's looking at the operation date of when you started, but you hadn't opened, and we're looking at expenses through March 11 of 2021. And then the total amount spent on eligible expenses between February 15, 2020 and 21 minus, doing the calculation of the 2021 and the 2020 minus your gross receipts and PPP. So that's the third one. And then of course, when we're looking at, I'm going to go to, where's the fourth one? Well, I think it's there, but the fourth one includes breweries and inns. So let's keep going. So, what do you exclude from the calculation? So when you're looking at excluding from the calculations, of course, as I mentioned, you're looking at excluding your PPP loans, your first draw and your second draw. We're looking at any, those that have received an SBA loan, sections of your 1112 payments. Those aren't included. And then your SBA EIDL, your EIDL advance for those that might have received an EIDL, or any grants that you received from the CARES Act. Any state or local business grants, and then anyone that received money from the Randolph-Shepard Act on the final relief and restoration payments or FRRP appropriation. These are all excluded from your 2020 gross receipts. How do I apply? There's 3 ways that we've made it. You can apply directly through the SBA platform once it's open. So that's at restaurants.sba.gov. You will go in there, the application's there, and you would just submit your application through that portal and upload your documents that you're needing. Or for those of you that are using a point of sale through either, I think they're using Square, Aloha, and a couple of others. And actually the SBA is looking at adding more POS providers to the platform, but you can actually go through and directly apply through your point of sale vendor that's working with the SBA, because of course they have all the documentation for your business or for your sales. And then the third way is for the good old telephone. So if you call 844-279-8898, you can apply over the phone. I just want to let you know, for anyone that's calling over the phone, it will be a longer processing time because then it does have to be entered into the system. So there's 3 ways to apply: directly through restaurants.sba.gov, through your point of sale vendor that is working with the SBA, and then through the telephone. So those are the 3 ways that you can apply for the RRF program once it is, once the portal is open. Now, what documents will you need? Once I said the application you will get online or however you decide that you want to apply, but so that you have it on your checklist. It's completing form 3172, which is your application. Your verification for tax information. So anyone that's been dealing with any of the SBA programs since last year, you will need a signed copy of your 4506T. So you will need to sign it and make sure that you check the box that gives us the authority to send it to the IRS and pull your transcripts. And then the other documentation is based on your business. So we're looking for your receipts and your eligible expenses. So of course, we're looking for your business tax returns on your IRS form 1120 or the 1120S. Your standard from your 1040, your Schedule C, or your Schedule 1040 on your 1040, your Schedule F. For those of you that are in a partnership, we're looking for IRS form 1065, including your K1s. We need copies of your bank statements. So the bank statements for the business that you're using for your business. And then we're looking for your financial statements. So whether those are internally prepared by you, or if you have a CPA that you work with, we need to see your financial statements. Then of course, your point of sale report. So you can still use a point of sale and not go directly through the point of sale application. You can still have your point of sale report, and then you can actually use that if you want to go through the SBA portal on the restaurants portal. So in order for the calculations, here we go with for calculation 1 and 2. Like I say, I think you find out where you are based upon your eligibility and requirement, and then you figure out which documentation you need for the required calculations. So once again, when we're looking at the calculations of number 1 and number 2, which are basically your gross receipts minus PPP, those are the 1 and 2 are the simple calculations. So we just need the basics. We need your application. We need your 4506T. We're looking at your gross receipts, because once again, now we're looking at 2019 to see where your business has dropped in revenue. We need 3 months of bank statements, your 2020 gross receipts. So the preferred method is that we receive your federal tax returns that you've already filed. And then of course your point of sale report. Now, if you use a profit and loss statement that you've either prepared or that you received from your CPA, I just want to let you know that those are going to and we're trying to let you know things in advance, that this is going to probably add another 2 weeks to your acceptance process. And once again, as I said, we've got $28 billion, but we anticipate that going rather quickly. So if I were you, I would, make sure that you've got time to get your preferred method, which is once again, your tax returns and then your point of sale report along with the application, the 4506T and your bank statement. So those are the things that I would go the fast route versus using what I already have if it's not too much of an inconvenience. Then we're looking at the situation number 3. Need a few more documentation. So of course, we're looking at the application, your tax verification, which is your 4506T, your 3 months of bank statements, your 2020 or your 2021 gross receipts for at least one of each year. Then we're looking at, once again, the preferred method is that you have your 2020 tax returns, your point of sale from 2020, and your 2021 points of sale up until the date of your submission through your application. We're looking at for CPA comfort letter, it's part of the review. If basically your CPA verifies that, yes, they are a small business and yes, I did do their taxes. That's an eligible piece of another piece of preferred documentation. If you're using for expenses, certain expenses, we're going to want to see your payroll documentation. If you're using for payroll, if you're using for, as we talked about, your expenditures of, expanding with your outdoor seating, what are those invoices? What are those payments? Your business debt, your lender, your loan statements. Once again, this portal is for the information that you need. Don't say, well, they can read or they understand that I have a business or they know that I've got employees because I said I had 5 of them. So they know, no, we need you to upload all the pertinent information because basically if we don't have it, we're going to send it back to you. And guess what? That now we're now processing people while we're waiting on you to submit documentation when, you've got time. So my thing is, you've got the time. So, hey, make sure you have the documentation that we're asking you for. Here's the other one that I was saying, which is basically part 4 of the calculations or the application is for those that are in the brew pub, the tasting tap room, distilleries or bakeries. And this is just making sure that you have documentation showing that at least 33% of your gross receipts for 2019 were for sales to on-site sales to the public. Because as I said, a lot of you, sell to individual small businesses or you sell to larger entities, depending on like with the bakeries or, the brewing. So in order to have the eligible calculation, 33%, that's the magic number, 33% of your gross receipts for 2019 have to be with on-site sales to the public. And then the same goes for those that are applicants that, you own an inn. Yes, we know that you're collecting money for, people to stay, other things you might have on site at your inn. But if you have at least 33% of your gross revenue is in food or beverage, you can actually apply for the RRF. So I just wanted to make that clear. And that's what we're looking at when we say there's like 4 different calculations that we're looking at, along with having, to support that you've had the gross sales on site, you still need all the other documentation that we went through earlier. How do I get help? Once again, we've got a helpline, which is still the 844-279-8898 number. I'm told that there's going to be several hundred people that are going to be manning that call center Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So they're there to assist you. We have the North Carolina District Office, which you can find us simply by going to www.sba.gov/NC for North Carolina, and you'll get, you'll find all of us, whether it's me in Western North Carolina or me or all my other teammates that are either in Charlotte or Wilmington or Raleigh. We're here to help. And then of course, they're going to have, I was told it's going to be about 10 different multiple languages that you can get assistance with. And what's not on the slide are my best friends and my comrades are our SBA and non-SBA resource partners, which are the Small Business Center, which is, Dwayne and his crew and all the other small business centers in Western North Carolina are here to help you. We've got Laura from the Western Women's Business Center and their team, they're here to help. We've got SCORE, we've got our Veteran Business Opportunity Center. We've got so many people that can help you to make sure that you get this application done. You have everything that you need, because once again, my goal is for, once the portal opens, everyone in Western North Carolina is ready to submit. So that is my goal for today, for this call, is that everyone receives the information that they need and that they're ready to go. Some of the best practices that we found, although the portal isn't open, we've looked at this, we've gone through it with our teammates, we've gone through it in the field. Applications with incomplete documentation, as I said, will be rejected. So as I said, we're telling you what you need. My goal is, after we hang up, that you start working on the documentation that you need. So, because I would hate to know that someone missed out, or they had started the application process and got rejected or kicked out because they didn't have what they're needed. Once again, leveraging your resources. While not, your CPA is not the only person that can assist you. Now, of course, I say, surely, if they're the ones that did your taxes, they did your P&I, your profit and loss, or they have all that information, of course, use them. But as I just gave you 5 other groups, even more, that can help you, whether that's your chamber, or like I say, whether that's the Women's Business Center or the Small Business Center, or the SBTDC, we're all here to help you, because we want to make sure that we get our restaurants that serve, food and beverage and all those other entities. We want you to be open. We want you to be open. We want you to be safe, and we want you to be able to bring your employees back. Looking at the application corrections, the SBA cannot, we've had so many situations. I had people call me, whether it was PPP or EIDL. I transposed the numbers on my bank account, or, I spelled my name wrong. I can't help you. Those are the corrections that I cannot help you. You would have to call the hotline or the customer service center to get any corrections made. So, once again, I know we're trying to get, money as quickly as we can, but those mistakes are costly. So, look at the application, and I always say, walk away from it and then come back to it and look, because, spelling your name wrong, or putting your address wrong, or transposing your EIN numbers, those are all things that are crucial to getting your, or having an incomplete application. And then once again, those that still intend to apply for the PPP, those we're advising you now to complete that application before the portal opens. So that's for those of you primarily that are submitting your PP2 application. But if we still have people on the line that haven't completed the PPP, we're saying we need you to, try to get that application completed and submitted as quickly as possible. And then for one, because PPP expires on the 31st of May. So, if you're still looking for PPP, we need you to, try to get that process expedited, because that's going to be one of the pieces that you're going to have to back out from your calculations. When we're looking at, so we sort of mentioned at the beginning that you do not have to have some of the contracting language when we're talking about, entering in SAMs and some of the other things that you have to do on the contracting side. For RRF, one of the main goals is to figure out how do we get money to the hardest hit. Those are the, like I say, those are the people that have the coffee shop, the food cart, the one food truck. We want to figure out how we can help the hardest hit and how we can help some of the what we call our priority group. So we're actually going to have a pilot period, and we're going to randomly select small businesses from the food and beverage that receive PPPs who have self-identified. So when you took the demographic piece, so we've identified those people that are women of a minority, they're veterans, they check that they were part of those priority groups, and we're going to use them to make sure that for a test pilot. So we're going to make sure that the portal is working, all the links are working, and that we can best serve all of those that are going to apply for the RRF. So our priority period is for 21 days. And like I say, those applicants will be women, veterans, socially and economically disadvantaged, and those applicants will not receive funding until the portal actually starts administering funds. So yes, they'll get whoever is selected, we're gonna, use their information and we're gonna test it. But I assure you, and the agency assures you, that they will not receive any kind of disbursement until the disbursement portion of the portal is actually open. And then on day 22, all eligible applications will be processed and funded until the funds, until the $28 billion are exhausted. Once again, I don't really have a date as to when the portal is open, but as soon as I do, I'll let everyone know. I'll let all the resource partners know. However you found out today that the portal is open, we'll make sure that that's the first thing that you receive. And also you can look at the SBA. We have our social media components are great, looking at the news. But once again, as soon as the portal is open, I will make sure that it is dispersed through, that information is dispersed throughout Western North Carolina. So when we're talking about our priority groups, just like, once again, this is our verbiage that's from our contracting. And once again, it's just trying to make sure that we can help those that are hardest hit. So we're looking at a 51% owned and operated and managed by a daily business that's controlled by women, veterans, socially, economically disadvantaged. So what it is, basically, there's two people that run the business, okay? There are two women, one's Black, we're there. You've got 5 people, they own 20% of the business, one's a woman, one, 2 are veterans. So long as you take that percentage of ownership that manages and runs the daily business operations, you come up with 51%, you're eligible for that priority group. And what we're asking you to do is to self-certify. So on the application, there'll be a box that is where you actually need to submit that you meet the eligibility requirements on one of the women's, the veteran, the socially economic disadvantage. When we're talking about socially and economically disadvantaged, I'll just run through this quickly. We're talking about those that have been subject to racial and ethnic prejudice or cultural bias. Those groups are, through our basic definition, are Black Americans, Hispanics, Native Americans, including Alaskan Natives and Native Hawaiians, Asian Americans, and subcontinent Asian Americans. So that is the group that we're classifying as socially disadvantaged individuals. When we're talking about economically disadvantaged, those are those that are socially disadvantaged individuals whose ability to compete in the free enterprise system has impaired due to diminished capital or credit opportunities. So those are who are we calling economically disadvantaged individuals. So we're looking at socially and economic disadvantage based upon ethnicity, and then economically disadvantaged is based on your credit opportunities or capital from the free enterprise system. So there's something that has happened where you're at a social disadvantage. So when we're looking at the eligibility as a priority group application, the goal now is not for you to say, oh, I need to now go find a woman, or I need to go find a veteran. So no, for the purposes of applying for RRF to receive priority in entity reorganization, those applications will be automatically disqualified. So, you know, don't run after this saying, oh, I need to add another woman, or I need to find someone of some sort of color so that I can make this 51%. I'm saying don't do that, because basically what you're going to do is you're going to automatically disqualify yourself. When we're looking at funding set-asides, there's been some set-asides that have been set aside in the act. We're looking at just a $5 billion set-aside for applicants with the 2019 gross receipts of no more than $500,000. An additional set-aside is, you know, $4 billion for those applicants for $500,000 to $1.5 million. And then of course the set-asides, but you know, let's not get caught up into the funding set-asides. Our goal is to get you with the right documentation, be ready for the portal to open up, and make sure that you're ready to go. So when we're looking at what's coming out, we're looking at the overview. Once again, how to apply. You can go directly through the portal at restaurants.sba.gov through a point of sale vendor. You know, as I said, the SBA is looking to actively add more POS sales. You can go through the customer service line for either assistance or how to apply at the 844-279-8898. And then for assistance, as I said, you can go through the hotline. It's going to be open Monday through Friday from 8 to 8. The local North Carolina SBA district office is here to help you. You can find us at www.sba.gov. We're /North Carolina. And then as I said, there's help in multiple languages. Once again, the portal's not open. Dwayne opened the webinar with how he can help, what he's can do. We're going to have Laura talk to you about what the Western Women's Business Center can do, since, you know, we're looking at women as one of those, you know, priorities to be able to get into the portal first and get assistance. So she's going to talk to you about what's going on with the Western Women's Business Center, and then I'll come back and I'll take any questions that you may have, or to see how we can further assist you to make sure that you're ready for the RF. And I'm moving around so I can share the screen. Okay.
Yeah, just so everyone knows, I have been watching the chat box, and I've seen your questions. So we got about a dozen right now. We're just holding off to the end for those of you who may have came on earlier and didn't hear me say that. We're just waiting. So.
Okay. Laura, you can take it away.
Okay, I don't know if I really need my slideshow. I'm glad everybody's here. The Western Women's Business Center, we're a nonprofit. We are in partnership with the Small Business Center, the SBA, our other resource partners around Buncombe County and 24 counties, Western North Carolina counties. Our main objective, our main mission is to be able to help entrepreneurs with business development workshops, webinars, technical assistance. We have coaches that can provide one-on-one coaching. And we've also been here as an SBA partner during this pandemic to help answer questions and help you with anything that we might be able to. You'll have my contact information. I can put it in the chat box, but you can reach us at the WWBC, our Western Women's Business Center website. Yeah, that's it. We're here to help. And I might not have the answer that you need, but I could probably get you the answer that you need. So I think that we all just need to kind of be patient, because it looks like this portal is going to be a few days or a little bit of time before it's open, right? So thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. So Dwayne, I'll take any questions that you have. Like I say, once again, the portal is not yet open. The goal is for you to be ready when it is open. And Dwayne, let's see what you got.
Okay, some of them are quite straightforward. So I'll hit you with an easy one first. Can we get a PDF of the slideshow?
Yes, I'll send it to you after we're done.
Okay. And so what happens if you don't have your 2020 taxes completed yet for documentation?
I mean, once again, that's dependent on where you are. Is it at your CPA? Can you have them, maybe speed up the process? Can you have them submit? Once again, that's where we're going to look at the CPA authorization. So they'll say, yes, I've done their taxes. Here's what I have currently. Here's their profit and loss statement. Once again, this will probably slow us down because we're going to have someone manually go in, run the numbers, look at history before a determination is made.
Okay. So will your credit score impact your ability to receive help?
Well, actually, out of the trainings that I've been on, credit has not been an issue because this is not a loan, it's an award. So it's basically showing that you have taken some sort of loss during the pandemic is what we're looking for.
Okay. Will tips be counted with gross sales?
I'm writing that one down because I have another call. And I'm writing that one down and I'll get back to you, Dwayne. We've been having a call every day on trying to anticipate what are some of the questions that are going to be coming out, because there is an actual guide that you can receive, that you can get off of the website as well. We're trying to learn through our errors. So we're trying to make sure that this portal is ready to go when it opens, and we're trying to make sure that we give you all the information that is necessary. But I will find out if tips will be counted in your gross sales.
Okay. So when do the construction expenses have to be spent? For example, before or after RRF funds are received?
All funds have to be done by March 11th of 2023. But once again, when we're talking about construction, it's about not construction for expansion, but construction to actually utilize your venue, or your space, because you can't hold people in the space because of the 6 feet, the 6 foot rule for the pandemic.
Okay. If I am purchasing a building, am I able to use these funds to outfit the building to include the CDC guidelines?
No, these are not for new purchases. These are for purchases that you've already incurred from February 15th through now. So if you're looking to say, oh, I'm expanding, once again, we're looking at, is that expansion? You're buying a business and you're trying to outfit it. No, you cannot use those funds for that.
So that kind of answers. We had one person that says, what if my business doesn't exist yet? So that would answer that question.
Correct.
As well.
This is not for you to start a business or to fund your business. No, this is truly to get those businesses that have been truly impacted for lack of sales because of the pandemic, because of the restrictions of open and close and 25% to 50%. So no, we love that you want to start a new business, but this time, this is not the platform for you.
Will distributed funds be taxable?
Don't know.
Okay.
I don't want to say what I think, but I'm going to write that one down as well.
Will there be another Zoom call to demo the application once it's open?
I'm sure there will be. I'm actually working with the SBTDC. We're working with AIR to go over some applications. We've got the application that we can kind of look at, but I assure you that something will be done to assist with the application process. Okay,
this one seems to be common. We have a brick and mortar and a mobile food unit. Will this be one application or two separate ones?
It will be one application utilizing the EIN numbers.
Okay. Is there an estimate for the time frame from application to receipt of funds?
I'll say no. Only because there's a few different ways that we're going through the process, whether it's the phone, whether it's through the SBA restaurants or through your point of sale. But I can assure you that we've got people in place that are going through the applications and approving the applications. So this will hopefully be a smoother and faster process than the last few portals we've had, which is the reason for some of this upfront, which is the reason for the priority, just so that we can get the bugs out of the actual program so that we don't have to start it and stop it and start it and stop it. We want to start it and execute and disperse funds.
Okay, so what 3 months of bank statements do I need to apply? Just any 3 months?
For the bank statements?
Yes.
Well, it's based upon depending on the calculation, what period of coverage that they're using, because of course the one is 2019, 2020, 2019, 2020, 21. So basically, your last three, depending on what years that you're using for calculation.
Okay. Does depreciation expense qualify as an eligible expense type?
Okay, now I got 3 questions. Okay, appreciation.
Does depreciation expense qualify as an eligible expense type?
I'll send that one up the line as well.
Okay. And people have some good questions, don't they?
They do. And these are the things that we're trying to find out. Even when we've had our call, it's like, well, does this count? Does this count? And they're like, oh, hold on, let me get back to you. So this is all good because it helps us to be better prepared to assisting the small businesses.
Okay. And then if our POS, point of sale, is not one of those specified, we will get penalized if we submit P&L, et cetera, from QuickBooks.
Well, there's no penalization. And the thing with the POS, the ones that the SBA has identified, and I apologize because at this point I think there's 4, but I can only remember Square and Aloha, and that I can't remember the other ones. But there's no penalization. It's just you can actually submit your application through your point of sale. So if your point of sale per contact is not one of the ones that SBA is using, you'll just use the point of sale reports to submit your application through restaurants.sba.gov. So there's no penalization for you not having any of the ones that we're working with. So you would still use your point of sale reports. It's just that if you're using the ones that we've already aligned with, they'll actually be able to submit your application through their point of sale machine.
Okay, so that kind of relates to, there's another question here that says, does the 14-day delay kick in if we use a non-specified POS system and submit from QuickBooks?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Is there an estimate as to when the portal will be open for applications?
I'd have $1 million if I had that answer.
No,
you know, all I can say is we're trying to get it out, and they're trying to educate us as much as they can. So when the portal opens, we're able to, we're ready to rock and roll and to help you and to get these applications moving through the portal as fast as we can.
And this person just wants to confirm that they're eligible. I think she says, I'm a caterer and an event venue owner as well as a bakery.
Once again, like I say, the key is that you have 33%. So her venue, of course, probably wouldn't be in the calculation, but with the catering and the bakery, 33% of your gross sales have to be with on-site. So there has to be one-on-one. That's not sales through the internet. That's not, through a contract that you have with another business. That's people actually coming to your establishment, whether they came to the counter, whether they came to the curbside. It's one-on-one, it's on-site purchases. So that's the key. 33% of your gross revenue has to come from on-site sales.
Can I
Okay.
ask a question with regard to that? What if it is a convenience store that sells beverages, meats, vegetables? Would that be eligible?
Okay, little lady, you didn't add it. Convenience stores not on my list. I mean, I'll add that one because somebody else asked about a bowling alley. So let me see. Okay, so now I've got 4 questions to take back to the team to find out any answers. And Dwayne, I'll make sure that I get those to you as soon as I hear back from the team.
Okay, and yeah, so as we've been talking, there's been more coming in. So just bear with me for a minute here. Just for clarity, if I use calculation method 1 or 2, is it simply 2019, 2020 gross revenue minus any PPP, and that difference is my award?
Pretty much is the calculation, yes.
Okay. Is there a cap on gross sales where you would not be able to apply?
The gross sales are basically the number of locations. So when we're looking at depending on how many locations you have, not to exceed the 10 businesses. So that's what we're looking at, because like I say, we know some of you own breweries and you're a caterer and you've got a bakery and you've got 1 or 2 different restaurants. So that's what we're looking at when we're talking about as far as the eligibility is concerned. Or if you're some of those other ineligible, like if your business is publicly traded, and those are the some of the other things that would keep you from being not eligible to apply. But I will say that we are, as a district office, we have there's another workshop tonight at 6. I think they've got one on Tuesday, Wednesday. So all week we're doing workshops to try to make sure that everyone in North Carolina is aware, understands, so they can actually, sit in on one of those. It doesn't matter that you're not in that area, because the information is still the same. And as I said, there is one with AIR and ABA, was it ABA? I think on Thursday. So there's multiple RRF webinars that we're doing as a district office and with some of our other resource partners. So please feel free to log on to those. Dwayne, I'll send you this in a PDF form after we're done. And, if you have any other questions, you can send those to me at sharon.harvey@sba.gov. If I don't have the individualized information for you, just like these other 4 questions, I will send them up to get an answer.
So I suppose that this person asked, how will we get the answers? Example, tip income, once Sharon gets the information. So I guess they need to email you.
Sure, they can email me, like I say, simply at sharon.harvey@sba.gov. And we'll make sure that the questions that they've asked, that we'll get them answered.
Okay. And you had mentioned Toast as a qualified POS, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Toast, Aloha, Square, and then there's another one that I can see, but yes, but Toast is one of the ones. And like I say, we're working on more POS providers, but those are just the ones that they had identified as of Friday on the last call that I was on.
Okay, so sales through the internet could include DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, correct?
No, those were not, they have to be on-site sales.
Okay. Yeah, we had a few people asking that question, so.
Yes.
um,
And that's the tricky part. It's got to be 33% of on-site sales. So whether the people came, you know, through your drive-through, you met them on the curb, they came in. That's how we're looking at the 33%.
Okay, so this is gonna be my last one. If my business only, you may have answered this, if my business only operated part-time in 2019 and began full-time in 2020, how should we apply since it will appear on our gross receipts will be higher in 2020 versus 2019, although we were still impacted by the pandemic?
They started business after February of 2019.
They operated part-time in 2019 and became full-time in 2020. How should they apply since it will appear on gross receipts will be higher in 2020 versus 2019?
Well, it's probably going to be that application number 3 that they're going to, because that's the one where you have to explain a little bit more as to, and then when they say part-time, I don't know if that's on a smaller scale, they only had reduced hours. So that would be something that would take a little more, they would have to explain that a little bit more, because without knowing all the details behind it, I couldn't really give them an answer. But that would probably be that calculation number 3, which has, you know, when you need to explain something that's just not, you know, here's my taxes, here's this, here's that, and you have to do some explanation.
Okay. Well, thank you, Sharon. Thank you, everyone, for hanging on. We still got quite a few people still hanging on, so this has been good information. One of the commenters said this was one of the best presentations that she's been in terms of the information, so that always makes us feel good.
It always makes us feel good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Dwayne,
Absolutely.
you can tell them we've had some tizzies.
We've had some teasers. I think this one was a little bit more organized than the last one. So again, appreciate everybody's professionalism and patience, and see a lot of familiar faces. So thanks a lot. You can always reach out to myself, Sharon, Laura, if you have any more questions. So I'm gonna just say goodbye.
And continue looking for other webinars. If you still need some additional information, like I say, we're going to have them at least all week long, various times throughout the day. So if you have friends or family or whoever that weren't able to join, you know, tell them just to join any of the other ones. We're, like I say, our goal is to be here to help. Make sure you're ready for when the portal does open. And of course, remember all of the SBA small business resource partners, so we can help you as well. Once again, these are free. So, you know, please beware of anyone that's charging you any kind of monetary fee to, you know, submit your application or do anything for you. So that's all I've got to say. And so once again, thanks a lot. And
Dwayne,
yeah,
a couple people asked whether how soon would you have the recording up, and when, and you'll be emailing the presentation.
I'll get the presentation and the upload by tomorrow morning at the latest.
There you go. You're
How's
quick.
that? All right. All right.
Thank you.
And the onus is going to be on Sharon to send me the presentation. So I'm not going to put it all on me.
I got you. After this is all yours. Once again, Dwayne, I thank you and AB Tech for hosting and housing me. As always, you're the greatest.
Yay.
Thank y'all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.